Hi, my name is Sean McNamara. I'm the candidate for the Pictou West, your NDP candidate for Pictou West.
And Sean, how will you or your party deal with the lack of physicians in rural areas of Nova Scotia like Pictou County?
Well, going door to door, one of the biggest issues we have is our health care and mental health also. And right now we have about 1,000 people that are without a doctor, and that's roughly 10% of our population. And the NDP is ready to partner with the patients, the doctors, and the healthcare providers to make sure that there is care for everyone who needs it when they need it. We had an interview here about a week and a half ago from Randy Burrow, which is a doctor here in town, and in his interview he said he came here around 1984, and he said for 2 decades there was 8 doctors, and he said everything was going well, but then they cut it down to 7, 6, 5. Now they're down between 3 and 4. And the sad thing is the government is expecting the same kind of service as when they had 8 of them, which, like he said himself, it's impossible. And who suffers is our patients. So the NDP is investing $120 million into the health care. And out of that $120 million, but they are going to take $5.5 million and invest in Pictou County itself. And that's for our mental health and getting doctors, trying to get our doctors back up to where they were. And the mental health part of it, we know it's a priority. It's the NDP's priority to keep the health care #1. And a big part of our health care is our mental health. So anyway, investing $120 million plus $5.5 million coming to Pictou County is the way we're going to try to get back the way it was here in Pictou.
And so what will you or your party do to improve or restore access to mental health services in rural areas of Nova Scotia like Pictou County?
Well, it was just basically what I said. We got to invest. We make it a priority, which we realized the last government hasn't done that. That's why we lost. We're going to make it a priority, and it's crucial, and it's a part of our strong healthcare system, mental health. And the NDP, like I said, is going to focus $5.5 million back into our mental health and our healthcare system itself within the next 4 years.
And what will you or your party do to make post-secondary education more accessible and affordable?
Well, this is one of the things we're getting on the doorsteps, and the NDP is eliminating tuition fees for Nova Scotia Community College. It's opening doors for opportunities for generations that had them shut. First step in making secondary education more affordable in Nova Scotia. It will cost $31 million to do this. And one of the biggest questions I get at the door, how are we going to pay for it? Well, the NDP is making a commitment to increase tax rates for people making $250,000 or more, which is $250,000. And it's a 3% tax rate. And it will be adding $82 million to our revenue. So that's how we're going to pay for this.
Okay. And how will you or your party improve the rural economy?
Well, investing in our local services, schools, roads, hospital, healthcare. We have to build our economy right. 1, 2, 3 jobs at a time. Support small businesses like our farmers, our fishermen, our turkey growers, processors. The NDP will invest in our small businesses. We will diversify, not put all eggs into one basket. You know, but we won't do it at all costs, because one of the things that we seem to be getting a lot at the door is especially out in the country, is fracking. And we will not. The NDP is opposed to fracking, where the Tories are for it. And we will not. NDP are taking steps to protect our kids and grandchildren so that we'll have clean air and clean water.
And last question. What is one thing that you think that Pictou County needs?
We need someone who will fight for what we need. We lost so much over the last 4 years, and you can look at it and you can say there's 1,000 reasons why. You can sit back and blame it on the Liberals, which they have a lot to do with it, believe me. But I really believe we need a fighter, and we need someone up there that will yell and fight on behalf of Pictou and Pictou County, and I believe I'm that guy. And to me, what are we lacking the most is having somebody that has a strong say.
I'm Ben McLean. I am running for the Liberal Party of Nova Scotia in Pictou West.
How will you or your party deal with the lack of physicians in rural areas of Nova Scotia, like Pictou County?
So it's a real problem at the moment that I'm hearing a lot of the doorsteps. Right now, there is a plan coming from the Liberal platform that addresses the clear lack of doctors and the need for access to healthcare in places like Pictou County. Right now, a key component of our platform is talking a lot about collaborative care centers. I'm actually a part of a collaborative care center. I'm a patient of one. It works quite well because I have access to my family doctor. Very fortunate to have one. But if for whatever reason the family doctor is not available, there's access to a nurse practitioner, to a dietitian, all kinds of services. And I think that there's a real opportunity in places like Pictou County, Pictou West in particular, to move those centers forward and to have better access for all people who live here.
What will you or your party do to improve or restore access to mental health services in rural areas of Nova Scotia like Pictou County?
So it definitely is a very personal issue. I've run to a lot of people at the doors that take this issue very seriously and very understandably. Similarly to the collaborative care policy or platform piece, right now there is a plan to hire approximately 86 new mental health professionals or clinicians in the province of Nova Scotia under a new re-elected Liberal government. It's certainly, I realize and understand, cold comfort to some people who may be struggling today. But again, I feel very comfortable that we understand the problem. Certainly having Pictou West with a voice in government, I think, would make a big difference to solving a lot of these problems, but also having an understanding and compassion and making sure that we're looking after everybody that needs help. I think it's very important.
What will you or your party do to make post-secondary education more accessible and more affordable?
So for me personally, this factors into a lot of youth retention issues here in Pictou County. Going around during this campaign, I've seen a shocking lack of people that I knew from high school, people that I knew growing up. And I certainly think that there's room for making post-secondary education more affordable, more accessible for people. I was very pleased with the recent announcement, partnership between the federal government and the provincial government, the expansion of the Nova Scotia Community College in Stellarton. I think it's something that needs constant addressing, and I was very pleased and very excited about what that means for our county and the people who live here. It's a big step in the right direction, and I think going forward, certainly as MLA for Pictou West, I would ensure to find a strong partner with our Member of Parliament locally, and also ensuring that those kinds of partnerships, like things for public education and post-secondary education, that those partnerships are formed and strengthened.
How will you or your party improve the rural economy?
So during this campaign, I've spent an awful lot of time going to different businesses, both big businesses and small businesses, which are increasingly becoming the backbone of our rural economy. A lot of them are telling me that it is a struggle, particularly smaller businesses. So I certainly think that is something that we need to work on and find ways to improve. I've heard from a number of people who are very pleased with the formation of the Department of Business in the last government, or under this Liberal government. People are pleased that it seems to have streamlined services, made it easier for people to set up and grow their business. It's important. It factors into all kinds of things, whether it's education, whether it's youth retention, or retention of any age group. We need to work harder, and there's lots of room for improvement in terms of keeping and retaining businesses here in places like Pictou West.
Last question. What is one thing that you think Pictou County needs?
It needs better cooperation. I think a lot of times we get dug into our separate corners, whether it's what party we belong to, or what side of an issue we are on. I think more listening is required. More, as I said, more respect for one another. I tell people, yes, I'm running for a political party, but I am not interested in the games that sometimes come up in politics. I think we need people. We need more people who are interested in getting things done, getting to work, and making sure that we're doing the best possible job that we can for Pictou County, and that's been my message throughout this election, and will continue to be.
My name is Carla McFarlane, and I am a candidate for the Pictou West area.
How will you or your party deal with the lack of physicians in rural areas of Nova Scotia like Pictou County?
Well, we have a very assertive plan within our platform. We will be actually engaging doctors to help us recruit and retain doctors. Right now, the Nova Scotia Health Authority has a system in place where they have individuals that recruit, whereas we believe that if we engage doctors in helping us, we can certainly recruit much faster, and plus offer them the incentives to also retain them, which is very important. We'll also be accepting credentials from other doctors from out of the country to speed up the process as well, to hire them.
What will you or your party do to improve or restore access to mental health services in rural areas of Nova Scotia like Pictou County?
We're really looking forward to this because we all know that 1 in 5 people are affected by mental health issues, and everyone's well-being is extremely important, even the people that are surrounded, family members, with those with mental health issues. We will be investing the appropriate funds to open up mental health crisis units across the province that will enable those that are dealing with these challenges to be serviced immediately. It's a disease that is 24/7. It doesn't run Monday to Friday, and we need to have those services in place that will allow people to go when they need the help, and we look forward to opening up these specific healthcare units across the province.
What will you or your party do to make post-secondary education more accessible and more affordable?
Post-secondary education is extremely important in Nova Scotia. It is actually an economic driver. We have over 10 universities. One of the things that I have been doing is meeting with Students Nova Scotia and the Federation of Students, and they have some brilliant ideas. A lot of them have talked about with regards to the cost of how that could be reduced, so we've been engaged with them in conversation. We will be looking at perhaps trying to bring back some type of grant that students can apply for that will ease the cost of education. But before we make any decisions on that, we definitely want to reunite again after this election with the students and see where exactly it is that they want the costs of their education reduced. and we look forward to certainly sitting down with them and listening to their ideas.
What will you or your party do to improve the rural economy?
The first thing I believe that has to happen in rural Nova Scotia, and first of all, I believe rural Nova Scotia is everywhere outside of HRM. We have to ensure that there's high-speed internet. That's one of the things I hear on the door time and time again. So right now we have businesses along the North Shore and Pictou West that have to actually come into Pictou and go to the library to access internet. And once we ensure that all Nova Scotians have internet, I do believe that it will improve the economy, because there's a lot of individuals that would love to continue living here and would like to start more knowledge-based industries that would allow them to work from their home. I also believe that we have to really consider what our tourism industry is doing for us. And right now we know that there's a lot of people that are self-employed in the tourism industry, and all they really want is to ensure that there are safe roads to travel on. And right now our highways are fine, but our rural roads need a lot of repair and maintenance, and that has obviously an influence on the tourism industry. So that is one thing that we would be looking at through our infrastructure budget.
Final question. What is one thing you think Pictou County needs?
Well, thank you for the question. Pictou County is a county that has a lot of diversity, a lot of great people with a lot of talent. We do need jobs though. And we all are aware of what it takes to create jobs. We are in a province that has the highest tax rates, corporate and as well as income tax. We have the highest HST, we pay one of the highest power rates, and it's very difficult to even provide newcomers with their basic need of a doctor. So I would say right now what we need to focus on in Pictou County is more jobs and definitely getting more doctors here. I think with regards to more jobs, we need to collectively come together, all the towns in the rural area, and decide on, work collectively with our municipal leaders as well and the mayors, and come up with a plan that we can attract industry, whether it's knowledge-based industry or if it's continuing more shipbuilding here. But we need to come together collectively and put our thoughts together and set a plan that we can go out together and sell Pictou County together.
Hello, my name is Cecile Vigneault, and I'm the new candidate for the Green Party, Pictou West.
How will you or your party deal with the lack of physicians in rural areas of Nova Scotia, like Pictou County?
The problem with the system right now is that we don't train enough nurse practitioners, and the RNs that we have, they could be better used more as an RN. In the olden days, we used to have what is called the porters who used to do a lot of the physical. Now we have all of the RNs doing the physical. We don't have enough education on preventative medicine. We don't have the education on alternative medicine. So I want to be able to have the universities teach the medical system, but also have the alternative like chiropractors and also naturopaths to work together to look after the mind, body, and soul of an individual, not just the body, and to treat the body from the patient's perspective instead of the pharmaceuticals perspective. This may get me into a lot of problems, but I think we have to deal with the patients. If we deal with the patients in preventative, we may not need a lot of the doctors, but right now the doctors, especially the specific doctors who have specialties, are in areas that most small communities have a long drive. I would like to see something like the Sutherland Memorial actually be part of the community hospitals.
What will you or your party do to improve or restore access to mental health services in rural areas of Nova Scotia like Pictou County?
First of all, I have no understanding of the mental health, but from what I hear, it starts at a very young age, and we really have to understand the children who grow up into adults with mental issues. When I was growing up, we used to have monitors at parks, and we used to have recreation in the parks, so that there's a lot of laughter and creativity. And I think we have to start with children to be creative and to release the lot of stress that perhaps adults are putting on them, the society is putting on them. The system, the teaching system, may not be to what they need. So for every child and for every adult, I think we need to look at the health system, but also and also how they're living within that society.
What will you or your party do to make post-secondary education more accessible and more affordable?
When I was growing up, it was deemed that the books, my mom had to pay, my school uniform had to be paid. But I can't see as a bookkeeper why it costs so much to go to university. When my sister was going to university, she had a job at Tim Hortons and A&W, and she put herself through university. But I know that there's a disparity between the haves and the have-nots, and I would like to see that somehow the funds could be found after we look at all the bookkeeping, so that the education system is free for all.
What will you or your party do to improve the rural economy?
Now, I have to speak for myself because I'm just studying all the platforms of the Green Party. But we've just had small groups initiated in our small Pictou West. And I don't think it's about us creating multiple jobs. I think it's about the residents getting together, coming to some of the meetings, putting their ideas, because I believe the ideas that people have are not being taken into account, and therefore a lot of the initiatives go by the wayside. So I think for getting Pictou West going, I think we need your help, and I would like to see more responses to saying exactly what you want to see in Pictou West, and then we turn around and we ask you how you can help us and how can we help you, whether it's a financial situation or whether it's just a means of a little bit of labor to do whatever you require. We're here to listen to you.
What is the one thing you think Pictou County needs?
This is just off the top of my head, but you know, when I come into Pictou, it is the most beautiful view coming across. And one of the things that I see people trying to do is trying to stop on the 106, the causeway coming into Pictou, to look at the cormorants, to look at the seals. I would like to see this expanded out, so as a tourist, I would like to be able to stop, look at them, take a picture, then come into Pictou and talk about the fantastic view that they just had, or even going down into the Pictou area where I'd like to be able to take a little ferry over to New Glasgow, or a little ferry maybe over to Stellarton if there's a way. I'd like to see more promotion of expanding Pictou with the other communities so that we all work together and help each other to create things that are different for Pictou, things that are different for New Glasgow, and to work together so we can say, hey, we're working as a team here.